I Color Myself Different by New York Times bestselling author Colin Kaepernick. Illustrations by Eric Wilkerson. I Color Myself Different by Colin Kaepernick. Hey, I'm Colin. I read books. I play sports and games, and I have a lot of fun with my friends. I don't know too many kids who look like me, which makes me super cool, 'cause I'm different, you know? I have super cool skin, super cool hair, and a super cool family. Sometimes it's not easy, but being one of a kind, it sure is amazing. Somebody has to do it. And that somebody is me. But one day, I had to learn that being different takes courage. It happened at school. Good morning, class. Today we are going to learn about families, Mrs. Musa said. Grab a sheet of paper and your art boxes. We'll start by drawing what our families look like. This is going to be easy, I thought to myself. I have the best family ever. I'm going to draw my mom, my sister, and our kitty cat, Mr. Noodles, said Sarah. Well, I have a huge family, with my parents, grandparents, and lots of cousins. I need 2 papers, joked Eric, my best friend. I didn't say anything, because drawing is serious business. I had to choose just the right pencil, just right paper, and just right colors. I had to focus. First, I outlined, scribbled, shaded, erased, and outlined some more. Then, I laid out all the crayons so I could pick perfect colors. Aha! Got it. Finished. Mrs. Musa asked us to show our family portraits to the class, one by one. I loved seeing how families looked different and beautiful in their own ways. I couldn't wait to share mine. This is my mom, my dad, my sister, my brother, and my dog Kiwi. We like to go to the park, eat cookies, and... But before I could even finish, Becky blurted out, "Why are you the only one brown in your family?" Then I heard from the back, "Why did you color yourself different?" At first I froze. I was surprised, shocked, stunned. I liked being brown and different, but the questions made me feel bad. Then I remembered when I had asked my mom that exact same question. "Mom, why am I the only brown one in our family? Why am I different? Why am I a different color?" "Honey, some children join families when they're born, and others join families after they are born. When you were a baby, Colin, we decided to adopt you, and you made our family whole," Mom answered. Adopted means different? Adopted means special, Mom said. Being adopted is an extra special way to join a family. Even though we don't share the same skin color, we share the same love. And that's what matters most. Ever since Mom wrapped me in that warm hug, I knew having brown skin and being adopted made me special. I have brown eyes, a brown nose, and brown hands. Just like the people who inspire, create, lead, and change the world. Like Huey Newton, Angela Davis, Toni Morrison, Ida B. Wells Barnett, Muhammad Ali, Audre Lorde, Malcolm X, Tommy Smith, and John Carlos. That made it easy for me to unfreeze quickly. I stood tall, opened my eyes, and said, "I'm brown. I color myself different. I'm me, and I'm magnificent." I said it a little louder so those in the back could hear me. "I'm brown. I color myself different. I'm me, and I'm magnificent." "You are magnificent, magnificently brown and magnificently different," affirmed Mrs. Musa. "Brown is beautiful," added a classmate. "Brown is the color of my favorite superhero." "And the color of my doctor," chimed in another. "And the color of my best friend," added Eric. Mrs. Musa smiled and clapped her hands. "Wonderful, my magnificent students. Then she talked about the ways people and families can be different and full of love. I love my brown skin, and I love my family. I love being different. As we talked, I snuck a few seconds to add something very special to my family portrait before hanging it up on the wall. That day, I was proud. I was proud of my brown skin, and I was proud to be me. It was the day that I colored myself different for all the world to see. Dear reader, the story you just read is true. The moment I chose to color myself with a brown crayon was a defining moment in my life. I knew that I was different from my family, and I loved myself because of it. I began to understand that my brown skin was connected to my black identity. It helped me to recognize that the world doesn't always value blackness. In fact, it can be cruel and unjust, especially for black people, indigenous people, and people of color. Some of you may be thinking young children don't experience racism, but the truth of the matter is that kids as young as age of 3 can develop and express racial biases. It was around this age when I encountered more overt racism and prejudice from my peers. But I quickly learned to stand up for, and encouragingly love, myself in spite of a community telling me that I shouldn't. My sense of self-worth didn't come from me alone, though. I recognized the long line of leaders who came before me and helped me understand what it means to be brave, bold, and black. In every endeavor, from my Know Your Rights camps to the letter you're reading right now, I want to empower and encourage young people to love themselves, know their inherent worth, and realize their strength and use their power to change their communities, and ultimately the world. I hope you will join me in this undertaking. It's not always easy to stand up and be who you are, but little by little, person by person, our collective voices and stories will transform the world into a more equitable and just place. Keep being you. You're magnificent. Colin Kaepernick. The leaders found in this book became champions of freedom because they dared to be different and courageous. Dr. Huey P. Newton, 1942 to 1989, co-founded the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense in Oakland, California, in 1966, and believed in the power of young people to radically change the world. Dr. Angela Davis, born in 1944, a prolific writer, professor, and founding member of Critical Resistance, an organization whose mission is to abolish prisons and police. Ida B. Wells Barnett, 1862 to 1931, used her courage and talents as an investigative journalist to report on acts of violence against black people. She also helped to establish the Alpha Suffrage Club, the first voting rights organization for black women. Toni Morrison, 1931 to 2019, authored 11 novels during her lifetime that beautifully celebrate black joy, hope, and resistance. In 1993, she was awarded the prestigious Nobel Prize for her literature for her work. Muhammad Ali, 1942-2016, used his platform as one of the greatest heavyweight boxing champions of all time to speak out against racial injustice and militarism. For his stance, he was stripped of his boxing title and banned from the sport for 3 years. Audre Lorde, 1934 to 1992, dedicated her life to centering the voices and literary work of black women and women of color. As a queer black feminist writer, Lorde published over 15 books of poetry and prose, including her well-known Sister Outsider. Tommy Smith, born 1944, and John Carlos, born 1945, are best known for protesting oppression against black people by raising their black-gloved fists, a symbol of black power, at the winner's podium of the 1968 Mexico City Olympics during the playing of the Star-Spangled Banner, despite having just won the gold and bronze medals, respectively, for the 200-meter sprint. They were suspended from the team for 2 days later. Malcolm X, 1925 to 1965, was an influential leader of the 20th century global black freedom movement who famously declared that black people must be respected as human beings by any means necessary. Malcolm X credited much of his activism to his love of reading. "I could spend the rest of my life reading, just satisfying my curiosity," he wrote in his autobiography.